Hi, this is Ryan from Camper Solutions. Today I'm going to show you how to make, or how I do make, my pop-up camper battery harnesses. These are pretty specific to Coleman, however I do make the trailer side attachment. That makes it universal to fit any pop-up camper or any camper that needs a battery. First I use 8-gauge wire. Can't remember the exact spec of this, but it is designed for UV and high abrasion scenarios. So I cut the wire to about 30 inches is the standard. I'm going to put an inline fuse in it. Most of it's pretty self-explanatory. Actually, I'm going to get all my parts together first. Need 2 small rings, 2 large rings. I seal everything with shrink tube. I use color-coded shrink tube. I like to let people know where it came from. On this plug I use a 1-piece Coleman style plug and a 15 amp self-resetting circuit breaker with an insulator. Strip the wires. I also need a couple of sockets that will go inside the plug. Now I'll start assembly. For the sockets I use a crimping tool. You can crimp it with just a needle nose pliers. It's not a proper crimp, but it does work. Even though most of these crimps that you get factory are not soldered, I do like to solder mine. I believe it makes for a better joint. Like I said, I color coat things with shrink tube. That way you know black is for negative, red is for positive. A 15 amp circuit breaker, self-resetting. The gold is the battery side, the lead. The silver is the auxiliary load side. these two together. The original Coleman harnesses just came as really two wires that were connected by a plug. Didn't like how they kind of just went whichever way they wanted. I like things nice and neat, I guess. And the originals also were black for the positive and white for the negative. Changed it to red because everyone thinks black is negative on a battery. I do. And no fun when you hook it up backwards. There you go, you have a finished harness. Connect that to your negative, that to your positive, plug that into your Coleman plug, and you have 12-volt supply inside your camper. Now I'm going to do a connection for trailer side plug, so any other manufacturer other than Coleman, or Colemans that have damaged connections. Not common, but it does happen. I got about 8-inch leads. These use the pins. Again, I solder these on just in case. I do trust my crimps, but I like the solder connection. Again, this is made out of 8-gauge wire, which is very common wire size in the pop-up campers for their supply. Now this side I do use a 2-piece plug. This is field maintainable. A lot of the Coleman campers actually have this on them. So if you have a bad plug, you can remove the plug, and that is easily done by depressing the sides. You can see how the two pieces came put together. Insert the plug wires and you close it to seat it up. To separate it, you just depress the tabs and it'll come right apart. And I'm a big fan of having these wires retained so they don't add strain ever onto the plug. From the same length. I install 8-gauge, or 10-gauge, I'm sorry, 10-gauge butt connectors. So if you need to, you can connect it right to your existing system. And also give you some shrink tube to seal these. If you're connecting this to your existing camper, a lot of times on the tongue of your camper you'll find the two wires. There'll be a black wire which would connect actually to the red, and then there'd be a white wire probably which would connect to the white, neutral, lead, positive. Once this is connected, or in a Coleman, if you had to cut off your existing plug, you connect this right back onto them. Or if you didn't, you just take the plug. It's an easy connection. Reason for field connection is so you can disconnect your battery easily. Turning it off, turning it on for no load. There you have it. Coleman universal pop-up camper with trailer connection. Thank you for your time. Remember, campersolutions.com. Thank you again.